Okay guys, sorry, just realised I was listening back to some of mine and I realised I sounded tired. I'm not tired, I'm pumped. Okay, here we are expanding and simplifying algebraic expressions. Okay, so normally that means we've got grouping symbols. Well, not normally, it does. You're not expanding if you don't have grouping symbols. Some of you will call it brackets, some of you will call it parentheses. I don't really mind. Some people get a bit narky about it, but I don't really care, as long as you know they're grouping symbols. Alright, so here we go, worked example 8. If you have a look at this first one, it's got 5 outside of x plus 3. If you were standing in the room, you would see me do hand symbols of brackets saying 5 x plus 3. And I've got my hands in sort of a bracket formation, which makes me look like an idiot when I'm standing here by myself. But if you were here, you'd really appreciate it because you'd know what I was talking about. But you're not. So I will say 5 outside of x plus 3 and you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay. So what we have to do is we have to expand this. Now, it's actually quite simple. You've just got to remember that when you are dealing with even say, let's go 2 outside of A, what that's actually saying is 2 times A. Okay, we don't write it because we're lazy. So we'll go back and we'll erase that stuff and we'll come back here and okay, we've got 5 outside of x plus 3. So let's just write it down so we know what we are doing. 3. Now we're expanding. Now, some people call this the umbrella method. I'm one of those people, kind of like it, or sometimes they call it the rainbow method. I don't mind what you call it, but what I'm going to do is show you an easy way to guarantee that you've covered all the possible options. Okay, so you've got 5 outside of x plus 3. What you want to do is you've got your outside term times that one. So that will give you 5x. Then you've got to do it to all the terms in the brackets. Doesn't matter whether there's 2 terms as we've got here or whether you've got 50 terms. Doesn't matter. You've got to do it to all terms. So you've got 5 times the x you've done. Then you go the 5 times the plus 3. Now remember, sign is out the front like any good shot. You have to multiply by whatever the sign is. Okay? So it's 5 times plus 3, which gives you plus 15. That's done. You've multiplied out the grouping symbols. You're finished. Cool? Don't forget, put an equal sign. People like them. Alright, the next one. B, you've got minus A outside of x minus y. Now I just bracketed up the top where I did the plus 3. I just put the box around the plus and the 3. And it's really important that you do that, especially in questions like this, because it's very important that you know what you're multiplying. Now this one, you are going to be starting, you're going to be doing the minus A times the x. If you did A times x, you're going to get AX. If you do minus A times x, you're going to get minus AX. Cool? Next one you've got to do, and I'm going to change colour and I'm actually going to work underneath so you can actually see it. I'm going to do the minus A again, and this time I've got to do minus y. So minus A times minus y. If you did A times y, you get AY. Because you're doing minus A times minus y, you've got 2 negatives. When you multiply 2 negatives together, what do you get? A positive. So minus A times minus y is plus AY. Hope that made sense. If not, rewatch that bit. Hope it made sense that second time. If not, watch it the third time. Good, I'm glad it's now making sense. Okay, so basically all you're doing is remembering that if you multiply 2 negatives together, you get a positive, and each one of these terms, the minus A and the minus y, have both got a negative, and you are multiplying them by those. It's not just A and Y. You have to use the signs that are in front of the pronumerals. Okay, so that's that one. Question C, we have x outside of 2x plus 3y. Okay, it may look a bit more complicated because you've got a couple of pronumerals, but it's actually not. What we're going to do is the first thing is x times 2x. Okay? X times 2x, the 2 coefficients, there's a 2 and a 1, 2 times 1 is 2, x times x is x, and there's 2 of them, x squared. Okay, next bit, you've got x times plus 3y. And I am saying plus 3y because it's important to remember that the sign is important. So then you have plus 3x, y. And you're done. Okay? Remembering that x times x is x squared, which we did earlier. And you've got the coefficient of 1 out the front, even though we don't write it. So you've got 2 times 1 when you're doing the x's, and you've got 3 times 1 when you're doing the y's, the x and the y. Okay? So that's the answer to that. Hopefully that made sense. If not, re-watch it, read the notes that are in there. It will make sense if you just take your time and have a look at it. Okay?